Welcome back to our discussion, taking a holistic approach to insider threats, sponsored by Cypher Systems here on federalnewsradio.com and Federal News Radio 1500 AM. My guest today is Mark Kelton, Director of the Insider Threat Solutions at Cypher Systems. I'm your moderator, Tom Temin. And let's walk us, if you would, Mark, walk us through a typical insider threat case. What do they look like from beginning to end?
Okay, so this gets to the point of what we do at Cypher, which is take a holistic look at people. Insider threat is a people problem. It is, of course, it has, as I explained earlier, security, technological aspects to it, but we're looking principally at people. So if you look at the cases that we've seen, and there are a large number of them, either espionage cases or insider threat cases that relate to industry, what you get first are predicate reasons for somebody to act. And this is all done ex post facto, of course. You're trying to look back at some of the cases and the lessons learned. Predicate reasons, the things that lead somebody to the point where they're going to make a decision to become a malicious insider, to act maliciously against an organization, a federal agency. And those issues are some of the ones that I talked about earlier. Maybe a need for money, maybe a resentment over treatment at work, resentment over lack of advancement, family problems at home, those sorts of things.
So there's always some personnel issue connected with this.
Something there has to be. I mean, people that commit these acts have a logic, their own logic for doing it. Human beings have to justify what they do and think rationally, or at least rationally in their own terms about what they're doing. So then you have predicate reasons, then you get to a tipping point, which could be recruitment or radicalization, the decision to cross the line. In a terrorist case, you might talk about radicalization, but we probably see that more often now in information theft cases. Certainly Snowden had some aspects of that, where he was, up to a certain point, a fellow that talked about protecting information and then changed and became something else. Mm-hmm. So a radicalization point. So once somebody takes a decision to act, the first reflection maybe you'll see is looking at the data they can access, either physically or on a system. What can I do? What can I reach from my workstation? And what is the art of the possible? Once that's done, the shift is to acquisition or collection of data. Now, if you're talking about a person acting on their own, or certainly a spy, the data is the point, right? To grab data and exploit it, and exploit the access to gain more data. So acquisition, collection of data that can be pulled down during one session or stored someplace and then retrieved later. And then comes the final point, which is data exfiltration, where somebody takes data out. They can do that either via the internet, they can do it on DVDs, they can do it on thumb drives, and takes information to deliver to a foreign intelligence service, to a leaker or a leak organization, or frankly to take for their own personal aggrandizement, to carry them to their next employment, their next job, and the like. So at Cypher, what we try to do is look at the employee and concentrate on the employee. What are the factors? Can we detect some of the factors in the employees that might give us reason to believe that there is a potential problem? It is that holistic look that really is a strength. Cypher itself does not focus primarily on technology, although certainly we can recommend technologies and talk with a client about that sort of what might be suitable for their particular needs. Cypher focuses on programs and policies and program development, putting in place a program based upon experience people have had in the federal space, myself included, or in the commercial space that suits the need of the client. Certainly, you have clients that can range from large companies or agencies down to very small companies, but all face this challenge now.
And there is a development of federal policy that makes contractors responsible for the federal data that they hold. This is something that's been, coming for a number of years now. And so what are the elements of a holistic approach?
Right. So sitting down with the company and deciding first on the culture of that company, talking to them about what kind of sort of culture they have, what the risk tolerance of management is, the degree to which management is going to support a program. That is a key element, frankly. A going and trying to install an insider threat program without the wholehearted support of management and the willingness of management to message in support of that program and to explain to the workforce why they have it and why that program is being put in place is a necessary prerequisite. When we sit down and look at how to develop the program, it's getting a multi-talented team together within the company that has representatives from, at minimum, IT, legal, security, HR in particular. Why HR in particular, and legal in particular, frankly. But HR because they have the best access and most direct access to the employees themselves. And this is about people. It isn't about spying on people, but what you are essentially looking for is anomalous behavior or anomalous activity. In my experience, it is best at the outset to try to decide what the goal of your program is in most cases. Of course, if you catch an Ames or a Hansen or something of that sort, you're going to go right to law enforcement, right?
Right.
But if you've got an employee who is just cutting corners, and that's a good employee, you probably want to have some remediation. And an ability to sit down with the employee and say you shouldn't be doing that, to watch them more closely, but to retain the employee where possible to retain the employee. A company or an agency has invested a lot of resources and time in training someone. And if they're a valuable employee, you certainly want to keep them on board. And a larger point when looking at a program, if a program is seen as punitive or capriciously punitive, it will not be accepted by the workforce. We're in an era now where people are concerned about being spied upon, and it's necessary to explain to the workforce the point here is not to look into their private lives by drawing on publicly available information or what they do on company systems. The point here is to protect the company, to protect their jobs, to protect the well-being of the nation, and to work with them within those bounds.
So it's primarily about people and behavior, and really the technology then comes in behind that.
Right. But the technology is for aggregation of data, quickly aggregating data that might indicate an anomalous event, or the ability to aggregate data about a particular person of concern or incident of concern. And then an analytical capability, an ability to sort through that data very quickly and then to manage a case. If someone comes to the fore, you want to manage that case. And to do so, frankly, in a manner that is, in intelligence parlance, compartmented, but in the private sector, segregated. Why? Because you want to protect the company equity, surely, but you also want to protect the rights of the person involved. You may see that somebody's doing something, but it might have nothing to do with espionage or a threat to the company, but it may mean that the person is having personal problems or other things. So you certainly don't want to be in the business of destroying reputation and hurting your employees while you're building a program. So that segregation is absolutely crucial to that.
Fascinating discussion. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Mark Kelton is Director of Insider Threat Solutions at Cypher Systems. I'm Tom Temin, federalnewsradio.com and Federal News Radio 1500 AM. For more on this discussion sponsored by Cypher Systems, visit federalnewsradio.com, search term Cypher.